Welcome to the Rich Report, a podcast with news and information on the world of startups. Today, my guest is from Tumblecloud. We have Brian Andreas. He's the founder, CEO, and chief creative officer at the company. So, welcome to the show, Brian.
Hey, thanks, Rich.
Well, hey, I'm really glad you could join us today. And your company does something called digital storytelling, and I'm really intrigued by what that means. Can you tell us
Sure,
more?
I'd love to do that. So let's dive right in. I'd have to say that we not only do digital storytelling, but we do collaborative digital storytelling. And I think that those are the key things to hold in mind with what we're doing. It's kind of like this. We allow users to arrange and display and co-create and share and manipulate multimedia. And so I'll show you how we do that. We keep them in something called stacks, and a stack is actually not very different than a folder. I mean, people go, "Are they folders?" And he said, "Yeah, they're folders." But a stack allows you to move things around, to rearrange it. Unlike a folder, usually you have a certain order that you're stuck with. With a stack, you can go, "Hey, I need this one to be here and this one to be here." And this is where you get kind of into a simple way of storytelling, because humans are great about going, well, this is the first thing, and then later on this happened, and then later on this happened. It doesn't always go by the file name or the date you uploaded it. So that's why we do stacks. In some ways it's digital collage. So it allows people to just tear out all sorts of multimedia and pile it there and arrange it in an order that makes sense. Instead of just sort of giving you that kind of overview, let me tell you about how a stack can be used in kind of a quote unquote real world situation. I have a friend who got married just a little bit ago up in Portland, and what they did is they uploaded all of their wedding photos, but then they also shared it. They collaborated on this stack right here of wedding photos, and they gave access for every guest. So not only are these the wedding photos from Zane and Aaron, they're also the wedding photos that other guests took, and they threw them in. And there wasn't a really good shot of the wedding cake, so they got the caterer to upload a shot of the wedding cake. Any of the videos that were taken, it was all here. And what was really interesting about this is that later on, when people decided to play with it, I mean, because this is where you get into the collaboration, they were able to, let's see, let me do this real quick. I'll show you one of the things that came out of it. It took all of, we had these stacks available, and people were able to just drag them in, because this is the workbench, and what you can do with that is once you have a stack, you can just drag things in and go, well, this needs to be right there. And what it does is it arranges really quickly using everybody's photos, everybody's videos. We were able to make things like this. This is a quick playing of an arrangement. This is so what I would say, this is a digital story. And this was one person's view of that digital, of what happened that day at the wedding. But that's okay. So that's one way stacks can be used, and it's very easy to collaborate around stacks. I mean, here's another. I guess here's probably a better business way of showing how it's used. We have one of the people on Tumblecloud is a landscape designer, and so she is using it with her clients what they've done up to this point in time. Like, here's a stack of all these Japanese gardens. So they've collected these photos for the past 25 years as a landscape designer. And what they were doing is photocopying them whenever they got a new client. They'd go through and they'd pick things out and they'd go, well, they're going to like this and this and this and this. And once she got Tumblecloud, she went, wait a minute, you mean I can actually do a stack for a new client? And, you know, once I've got that new client, I can go, well, they're going to want this one. And I think this would work for them. And this one. And this one. And then they would share it with their client, and the client would have this immediately. And not only would they have a reference for what they're working with, the client could easily add other things too. We've got, you know, standard tools for uploading. So if a client said, hey, I just want to add some stuff to that, you know, this is stuff that I've collected, because we've all done it. Anyone who's done landscaping or has done home remodeling, we collect pictures. So it's a really easy way to just drop things in and continue to add it right to the stack. An upload is very simple. It's, you know, this is a standard sort of thing. But I'm going to shut that down, and it'll show up in the stack when it's all been converted. We convert everything. All of the stuff is held on the cloud, so all of your stacks are there and easy to work with. When you have a stack like this, you know, we can go back to this one because I like this graffiti project. It's very easy to share. So there's a couple of ways of sharing. You can do the standard share where you send it to somebody. So you can send it via email, or you can send it to somebody who's on Tumblecloud. We recognize that there's a huge ecosystem out there for other social media like Facebook, Twitter, and then everybody who's not even on that, who's just via email. So you can send that to them, and they'll be able to see a stack. But I think the more fun thing, you know, about Tumblecloud is that you can collaborate. And this is where you can invite someone to work with you on it. What that means is that once you have that, they get access to it. They're able to work with what you've put there. They can add things to it, and you can continue to arrange it and work with it together. Here's an example of, I think, one of my favorite collaborations that I've seen recently. It's a photographer on the East Coast who has been involved with Occupy Wall Street, and a musician on the West Coast who's been involved with Occupy in Southern California. And so they got together and they collaborated to do let me turn that down. They collaborated to give a portrait of what's going on in Occupy and in a real-time collaboration. And I think that's one of the most exciting things for me about what Tumblecloud can do is you can do that on an individual basis like they did, or we have something called a public stack. So that stack then, and when you do a public stack, you can open it up for anybody to add to it. So here we have an Occupy stack done by a Tumblecloud user who is involved in Occupy Wall Street. And this is a public stack that invites any contribution from anybody. And so it's once it's in the public stack, it's available for anybody to use. It makes it really interesting for a source point for journalists or for concerned citizens to be following something that that's happening in real time. This is actually one of my favorite things. Let's see, what else? I want to tell you a bit about how we've seen teachers using it as well. Teachers have some really great tools because they've been part of our early alpha group, where they have just been able to ask for things that they want. well, I guess I don't need to duplicate that. They've been asking for tools so that it makes it easier for them to do what they want to do in the classroom. So here I'm building really quickly a kind of a, let's see, what would I say? It's how you would build a lesson plan. You'd have a resource like a stack right here that you could share with all of the kids, all of your students. And one of the really interesting things we found is that current teachers are really aware of the different learning modalities for different students. Like some students are kinesthetic, some students are verbal, some students are oral, everyone's a mix of various things, which means that if you give a resource to a class, a stack, you can actually decide what parts of the stack they see. You can actually give it all to them, or you can say, hey, this person's kinesthetic, we can give specifics to them. So that's one thing that teachers can do with it. The other thing they can do is make learning templates. So they can set something up like this and then add in wildcards, what we call a wildcard, that says it asks or invites the students to add to it. So add a photo of a flying bird as an example. And when the student works with it, they look in either the resource stack or their own resources that they're able to bring to it, either from their computer or finding in our royalty-free libraries, our free libraries of high-quality content from artists and musicians and filmmakers worldwide. And they can go, well, yeah, I've got one of those. And they can drop it right on there, and it replaces the wildcard. So the educational experience becomes really interactive using multimedia. And the thing that I'd like to mention about multimedia with Tumblecloud is that it's true multimedia. It's not just audio and video and images. It's Word docs, PDFs, Excel spreadsheets, anything that you can imagine you can use. Here in this stack for education, there's PDFs on the mythology of crows. So you can add that there, and you can have them show up separately, or you can make kind of a multimedia booklet right there, where it all strings together. So when you're viewing it, when you come to that point, you actually have a whole multimedia, like a mini publication that you can look at. We're actually kind of excited about the possibilities of multimedia publishing that way too. So let's see. I think that pretty much gives you an overview of what we do. I'm happy to answer any questions because I know I get so rolling on it that sometimes I can go, wait, what did I miss, or what did you miss? So I think that's a good start.
Sure. Well, thank you for that demo, Brian. So just to clarify, we've been watching, all this has been happening in a browser window, correct? It wasn't an application that you opened up?
Right. We're all done in HTML5 except for a very teeny tiny bit of Flash in the player, and it's browser agnostic, so it runs in all the HTML5 compliant browsers. Yep. It's all right here in my browser.
Yeah. So a question about the individual. When someone uploads some media, right? Do they have to get it off of their hard drive, or if they put the thing on, say, YouTube already, can they point to that and hook it in here?
Okay, so we've got a couple of places you can get media from. There's when you go to grab, you can grab it from your computer. Yeah. We have Flickr right here. It requires setup because we know we have so many people who have huge Flickr libraries, and it makes no sense
Right.
to start all over again. So once you've done your standard login to Flickr, you have full access to your whole Flickr library. We're in the middle of working out the Facebook connection,
Uh-huh.
and partly, and this is an interesting problem. It's that we already have worked out how to access all of your Facebook libraries. What we're arguing about internally is what is the extent that you can grab other things that are shared with you on Facebook. Because with all the
Oh, sure.
with all this stuff going on right now with SOPA, PIPA, and ACTA, we're really having to take a look, not just us, but in general, what constitutes fair use. So we're working on that, but you can do it from Flickr, from Facebook, from your computer. Then, as I said, we also have our internal libraries, and our libraries are populated with all sorts of fun objects. Let me do something not in caps, that are available for royalty-free, non-commercial use right now.
Okay.
And help if I could type. It really is too early to be typing. So there's images. You can look at the available the video, the audio that's there. All of these are very easy to use to drag into stacks that you have right now. Because you want to arrange it a particular way. Like I'm going to put it in this one, and so that's available right then and there for a person to use.
So, okay, so I'm curious about how I could use this. I go to a lot of trade shows. You have any examples of that? Did anyone like pool all the pictures from an event like that?
Oh, like CES or something like that? Yeah,
Sure.
I don't. Right offhand, I don't know of any user who did that. So I can't really show you an example of that. I mean, I can
Okay.
show, yeah, but I can.
Well, maybe I can provide one.
I would love
Maybe I
to.
can provide one for you in the future here.
I
So,
would love to do that,
yeah.
because what's interesting is anybody who has done that and goes to a trade event, and especially when there's all these releases, is that it's very difficult to track down a central resource of all the releases. Like okay, there's that video and this, and you can go and you can do a search on Google, but it would make way more sense if there were a public stack like the Occupy stack that was on CES that people could just drop in
Yes.
so that everybody had access to. I would love to see you do that,
Yeah.
Rich.
Yeah, because I mean, I end up having to Google all over the place, right? Trying to find these disparate sources of photos, videos, people that commented on a talk they saw. All that is all over the place with no set hashtag or that kind of thing, right? And you really have to go digging. And it seems to me if we made a place where someone could go to, say, the supercomputing conference, which is one I go to, has
Right.
10,000 people, and they're all collecting media and taking pictures of cool stuff and writing about it, etc. So we'll put it to the test.
Well,
How about that?
that would be good, because I used to do trade shows too, and that's such an interesting thing,
Hmm.
because one of the best parts of a trade show, and the necessary thing, is after you've walked it, you find your friends
Yep.
and you all sit and you go, what did I miss? And
Yes.
it's very useful for that. So I think that this is actually one of, I'd have to say, a perfect use case for how Tumblecloud can be used. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a thing is that we have social media all over right now, but it's more like I've got my stuff and you've got your
Yep.
stuff. But how do we share that? I mean, me just saying, hey, here, look at this. Do you like it? Isn't the same as, wait, I need that picture because I'm doing a presentation tomorrow. And when you
Hmm.
have,
Hmm.
when you can really collaborate, it gets pretty interesting. We've got one one use case that I'm aware of right now that comes out of the ad world, and they've got a team of people in Portugal, Sweden, and China, and the U.S. And they what they do is they say, here's our brief. They go out over the weekend. They shoot images, they shoot video, they capture audio, and they throw them all in shared stacks, and then they have something they can all work with together. And I think it's a really interesting use of it. But
So, it's you mentioned that the teachers were part of down in your alpha and beta development. And this seems like something that a student could just get on and start putting something together, like a presentation, much easier than they could with, say, PowerPoint or something more like that kind of application. This seems more intuitive.
well, I think so, but I'm completely biased. It's like, yeah, I think it's perfect. But the thing that we have seen watching kids use it is that it's very drag and drop, and that makes sense, for most kids who are growing up now. It's just like when when you're putting something together, it's going, yeah, I like this, and I like that. And you don't have to worry about whether you're putting it in the right spot. You can go, well, I like that too, and it puts it where it needs to. You want to add audio. If you want to trim something, it's right on the desktop. So it's like you go, well, okay, I want this to be 1 second long, or no, I want it to be 6 seconds long. Really easy to work with. So yeah, I've watching kids and working with them, I have a difficult time with that because I want to get in there and play with them. I'm not really good at watching. I'm like, yeah, and look what else you can do. It's so cool. They have some of the kids who are in our alpha group have really pushed it to the limit. We built it. This is all in proprietary XML, so it's got low overhead. But some of the ways they were using it, like stacking audio, like this, and it being able to play, and then stacking additional things like text objects, so that you could overlay and have different text show up at different times. I was amazed at how they were pushing it. They were just having fun, going, well, can I do that? And can I do that? And then the player, since the player doesn't render, it picks up each one of these objects in real time. That you can really easily see what your changes have done. You just drop it in, and you go, oh, that's what it's doing. And I guess I should have probably put things in the text objects. That would have helped. But you can go back and forth, and you can mess with it, and you can go, well, here, let's say this is my test. And you can go, well, let's see, I'm going to put that here. I'm going to put it here, put it there. It's really easy to mess with. Anyway.
Yeah.
Get me started again, see?
Yes. When you were working earlier, it just reminded me of the old original Mac application, the HyperCard. Were you a user of that back in the day?
Yeah, long time ago I was. Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it was like a deck of cards on a table, like this kind of metaphor. So it was very cool. So now you've got this. It would seem that if you're uploading stuff, that would require a lot of cloud storage. Are you getting funding from angels and investors to make that infrastructure possible?
Yeah, we're privately funded right now, and we do have some pretty strong revenue sort of revenue models that we're looking at, because it is kind of that balance. We've got the private investment to get us to really solidly into a place where we've got users who are messing with it, and then we're going to be looking at other ways to continue our growth. But But what it means currently, with the help of our investors, means that we're free for all users. We just want to make it, bring collaboration to the, drag and drop collaboration and storytelling to the whole world.
So at this point, you don't have a revenue model or ads or anything like that in place.
Yes. I was gonna go la 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 la. Yes, currently, we have we're really pretty excited about our possible each whatever the revenue models are. I mean, this is a whole different conversation where we could go. That
Sure.
I've seen so many startups that have all of their decks and their revenue models, and you go, which one did you end up doing? And they go, well, none of them. We went in an entirely different direction. So, having heard that enough, I went, sure, we've got revenue models, and are any of them going to be the real one? I don't know. It'd be fun if it was, but I have a feeling that it's not going to be. Just being real about it.
So Brian, what as far as the mechanics of this, if a student or someone made a stack, is like we would call it in HyperCard, can anyone view it, or you have to go on and get a membership a sign up like Facebook requires?
Well,
to see it.
This is actually something I should have gone into a little bit, and thank you for bringing it up. That we've got a really robust permissions and security structure for Tumblecloud. You can go in and you can so a student uploads a stack. Well, some things the student may go, you know what, I only want me to be able to do that. Or, my friends, or, like certain groups might, my class. Or you can do the everyone thing, straightforward that way. So, but you can also do that at an object level, and that's where it gets pretty interesting too, is that you can say, I've shared my stack with everybody, but this particular one I only want, for me, or I only want my friends to see. And we have really played with that one a lot in our alpha groups. That you can send, like the wedding stack that we were looking at, Zane could send that stack to all of his relatives, and they don't have to be on Tumblecloud like you asked. No, you can just, if you send it to like your aunt, she'll click on the link, and this is what she'll see. She'll be able to mess with it. She won't be able to get involved with collaborating, but she can definitely see everything that anybody can see if you've made it available for her. But when he sent the wedding stack, he could go, well, all of these I'm going to show to my relatives, but these, where it got into the drunken revelry part of things, I think I'm just going to show that to my friends. So it's really easy, and it's really robust. One of the things we talked with teachers about is that when they're working on a classroom project, they want it to be a classroom project only, nobody else seeing it. But then they need the ability to, when it comes time for the parents to see it, to open it up for them. It's as easy as adding, like in your friends, adding a new group and going, hey, let's add a parents group. You add the new group. Well, let's see. It's supposedly easy. Yes, just add the parents group and drag in who those parents are, and you're all set. Then you can give access to the parents to the stack, either the student stack or the entire classroom stack.
Yeah. And Brian, can you export when say you make this stack and everybody works on this collaboration, they create this wonderful multimedia experience? Can it be like turned into a movie file or something like that, or does it live just in the Tumblecloud?
We currently, what we can do is we can export the link to anywhere that's linkable. We do have an embeddable player that can also be exported. We have the question you brought up about can you do a movie file or so export it to a DVD. We are definitely we have that on our list of things to do because people ask that regularly. But currently, we have full capability of exporting either a link or embedding a link on basically anything that exists out there, a blog, a website, to Facebook or Twitter, pretty easily.
Very cool. So I just thought of another application for this. Up here in Portland, they just screened a movie recently, the old Red Dawn with Patrick Swayze, and they put it in a format called Hecklevision, where people could Twitter in their jokes about what they were seeing on screen, and it appeared down in the caption part of the movie. So people were heckling the movie as it went on in the theater, and it would seem to me like people could put their home movies out there and put them up for heckling or something like that. That could be fun.
Oh, that's really, I mean, that is a really interesting
That is so funny.
I know.
It was supposed to be a hoot.
I could see it. It's kind of like the new version of the Rocky Horror Picture Show. You know, you could just start. It's audience participation. That makes perfect sense, being that it's in Portland. So
yeah, it was great fun. So I guess that brings up the I guess you mentioned some of the privacy concerns, and then there's also that problem with commercial music, right? I mean, synchronization rights are just very difficult and expensive to get, right? To sync a set of images to a song, you've got to deal with all kinds of agencies and the Fox agency, all this stuff, right? Do you have to like do something like YouTube does and say, hey, I do have commercial rights to this all the materials I'm submitting, that kind of thing? Are you working through that?
Yes. Well, we handle it we handle that particular thing two ways. One, our libraries are filled with Creative Commons music, so that there's this huge body of music that people can use right now. We're also as a lot of content creators, we definitely ascribe to this is who's got copyrights, and since it's at an object level, we can manage that. It's definitely something we're very sensitive to. With those permissions, what we're in discussions with intellectual property lawyers. That's a whole other beast. But we're in discussions with what is it if you say, for instance, you have bought a song and you like on your iTunes song, can you use that as long as you don't make it available for other people to use? And it's a hot discussion, and so we're really aware of it. I don't know if the jury's completely out on that one yet.
Yeah, it's strange. Apple has made all this money with things like the iMovie, and the iTunes lets you set images to music, right, from your library, but you can't show it to anyone, right? So it's this dilemma of media can be all assembled like this, but it gets sticky when you want to share with the world.
Right,
so
which is when as I come out of an arts background, so I know artists and musicians, filmmakers all over the world, and this is one of the discussions we had going into Tumblecloud. We said we believe that there's a need for a global vocabulary to help people actually learn how to collaborate, how to tell stories, and not be worried about whether they're going to go to jail or become thieves because of some antiquated system. So how can we give a multimedia vocabulary that everybody has access to? And I think a lot of the artists in our libraries have really stepped up to do that, going, hey, use this, use it. And the thing that I find really intriguing from just an architecture standpoint too, no, don't do that, is that, let me just put this one up again, is that unlike YouTube or Vimeo, when I say we don't render it, each of these objects stays discrete,
Yes.
So so throughout the entire process, you can track where an object is. Even at
Ah.
the end of presenting this, we have
Mm-hmm.
credits. You know, the credits pop up, and you can see who's been involved in the making of it, the
Yeah.
collaborators, and it's just um, it means that everybody gets credited and everybody can be tracked down too. So if there is a piece, you know, like on YouTube, if you set it up there and you do music that you're not allowed to use, it
Mm-hmm.
just racks what you've done. Here,
Yeah.
if the copyright holder says, you know, you can't use that, you go, okay, cool. You go in here, you
Yeah.
take this out, and you drop another piece in. You
Oh.
just go, okay, that's done. Drop it in, drop in, and I know that this one has a. I know this one has a Creative Commons license, and it's good to
Okay.
go. You know,
Yeah.
so
Very slick. Well, Brian, I want to thank you for sharing that with us today. This is an exciting project.
yeah. Thanks. I mean, thanks for giving me an excuse to play with it for you and all of your viewers. It's like that. This was great. So thank you.
And then as far as going out, I always ask my guests for a call to action. I mean, is this open for people to sign up and start using? Is that what you would ask our listeners to do?
Well, it's one of those interesting things where we're still I'm gonna show you we're still in beta, but it's a
Mm-hmm.
public beta. So
Mm.
we just want people to know that yes, it's there are some things we're still tweaking, but we want you to get in there and play with it. So right here, request an invite, and that's so funny because people who request an invite, we go sure. So it's
Yeah.
really that's what I would say. Get on
Yeah.
www.tumblecloud.com and request an invite, and then just join us and see what we can make together.
Oh, terrific. Hey, and are you open to any kind of potential partners that might want to help you with that revenue piece of things, or is it too early for that, Brian?
No, it's actually not too early. We are definitely in conversation right now with a lot of different people. So,
Mm-hmm.
conversation's a treat. We'd love to talk with people who are interested.
Oh, terrific. Okay, Brian Andreas. Well, thanks you once again for coming on the Rich Report today.
Thanks for having me, Rich.
You bet. Okay, folks, that's it for the Rich Report. Stay tuned for more news and information on the world of startups.